And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Go ahead and say it, Ed. Go Tigers!
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
You like that? You like that?
F it. Jamar's down there somewhere.
The New Orleans Saints select Marcus Davenport.
No!
Splash Brothers. Yeah.
It's playoff. Keep going, Brace.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Welcome to Chasing the Trophy Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Sanders, here with the producer, Clay Williams of Dirty Boot Sports. And we're coming at you this podcast, episode 6 this year, already of season 3, with DBS draft grades. That is correct. The Dirty Boot Sports Snake Draft, 10-team PPR. We're going to go through each team and so each pick, and give them a grade on their team. And I'm pretty much just grading from A to F. I'll go ahead and spoiler. Nobody got an F. There was only one team that got an A, and it was an A minus, because to me, very rarely, if you're drafting a pretty competitive league, nobody's probably ever going to get an A, like an A plus perfect draft. But I mean, I guess it could happen. But anyway, I'm just going to give a little brief explanation of what I think of each team, and just kind of why I picked that grade and whatnot. And just to preface all this, like draft grades are probably like the hardly telling at all about your fantasy outcome. I mean, like I've told Clay and several other people, I can't tell you how many drafts that I've done, and I ended up with like a grade of like a C or a D. And I ended up in the championship or won the league. I mean, and that's like with professionals grading it, just like with ESPN or Yahoo or Fantasy Pros or Sleeper, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I've had D grades and literally won the championship. So, I mean, these grades don't really matter hardly at all. This is just my opinion and my thoughts on it. And it's just for us to have a little bit of fun. And just to preface this also, I have no idea who drafted where. Clay sent me the teams, and it's where they picked, what round that player got drafted in for each team. And I just looked it up and down and was like, I think they got this, and this is why, blah, 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 blah. And we did it for each individual team. So it was just to have a little bit of fun. And so we're kind of looking forward to that. But first, we're going to open it up with prayer. Then we're going to our sponsors, and then we're going to jump right on into it. So, Lord, just thank you for this opportunity to be here and just talk about this sport, Lord, and just thank you for everything you continue to bless us with, and just being able to get together and fellowship and enjoy this game that you blessed and allowed us to partake in, Lord, and just continue to let us just do whatever we can to shine a light for you. Also, Lord, just want you to continue to be with Norke as she's getting ready to hopefully get her immunizations, and just kind of have to start that all over again after she's been through this battle that she's been through. Lord, just kind of keep your hand on her and her family as they get ready for her to kind of start all the immunizations and build her body's immunity back up from the ground up, Lord. Just be with them as they go through that. And also there's an unspoken prayer request, Lord, for someone in our community that seems like they need a lot of prayers right now. I don't know these people individually, personally, which is why I'm not saying their name, but Lord, you know the need, and there's a ton of people praying for this young lady. And just please be with them and their family, and if it be your will, put your hand on them and let them turn to you in this time, Lord, and just be a testimony to what you can do and the miracles you can work, Lord. And just continue to be with us as we go throughout our everyday life, and just continue to shine and be a light, and just continue to spread and glorify your name. In your name we pray, amen. All right, guys. So first, I want to thank our sponsors: Big Reed BBQ, Mimi's Children's Boutique, Doug Demona Farm and Feed, Crown Detailing, and Championship Carts. Thank you, guys. Thank you for supporting us. Y'all go out, support them, because they support us, and we really appreciate them. Our title sponsor for this episode is going to be Mimi's Children's Boutique, located in Jonesboro, that fulfills all clothing needs for your little ones. Owners Melissa Johnson and Megan Harrell offer children and baby boutique brand clothing and accessories, vinyl print t-shirts, and so much more. You can find them on Main Street in Jonesboro from 10 to 6 Tuesday through Friday and 10 to 2 on Saturday. And Clay, did we ever check to see, make sure those hours were still up to date for them, right?
I do not know, but I
Okay.
think, as far as I know, they haven't changed.
Okay, yeah. Hey, so if y'all are listening, either Megan or Melissa, and they're not right, get with Clay and give him an earful, and then we'll get them changed for y'all.
That's right.
But anyway, y'all go out and support them. Hey, look, football season's right around the corner. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure they got like all your Tech, LSU football, apparel for your little ones. Pretty much anything else you want. I think they're up to date on all the fancy frou-frou stuff. So guys, if you're trying to figure out what to buy, your wife or your little girl or something like that, they probably got just about everything you need. So y'all get out there, support them. Thank you, Mimi's. They've been with us since day one, and we just appreciate y'all's support. Some of the previews for the upcoming pods, like we talked a little bit about the last one, start sit sleeper week 1, mini waiver wire episode prior to week 1. So kind of status post drafts, people that you should be in on before they hit in week 1. We're going to talk a little bit about that on the next pod, and that'll probably be honestly our last pod before week 1. I've got a crazy week coming up. I'm going to try to work on that some over the weekend and maybe hit it up hard on Tuesday. And hopefully we can get that out to y'all Tuesday before, because Wednesday on, I'm going to be booked through the whole weekend. We've got a big retreat coming up with our church. So I'm going to be out of pocket. And Clay, which if I get that done and for some reason I don't get to it, I'm going to get it to Clay, and Clay's going to step up and bring y'all the good stuff. So that's what we got coming up. And we're also, honestly, we're going to try to have those two subjects, start sit sleeper and waiver wire. We're going to try to bring y'all each one every week. And we're going to try to get them a lot shorter. And what Clay and I were kind of talking about doing, it might just be one of us talking about either one, but we're going to have both our stuff, and then we'll just kind of run through it each week. And that'll probably shorten it up a lot. Because if y'all have listened at all this year, Clay and I like to talk. We have a big opinion on just about everything. So, and that does not make the pods any quicker. But that's what's coming up. Injury news and updates, we're going to be covering that on the next pod. That next pod is probably going to be a fairly long one if there's a bunch of injuries, which I think a lot of them are clearing up right now. But that next pod is going to have much all the injury updates before week 1 on Thursday night starting. So that way y'all can be caught up on all the injury news and updates. So be looking for that on the next pod. But other than that, we're going to jump right on into pick 1 for the DBS draft, okay? I don't know how you want to do this, Clay. If you want to read off every pick all the way through, and then or if I just say the grade and then we read it off and talk about it, I mean, it don't matter to me. But I mean, I can give the grade, and then I think we should probably just kind of go through the picks, as we go through each team.
Yeah, whichever one, it don't matter.
I mean, so pick 1, I gave a C+ to, which, I mean, honestly, every team has pretty much a solid starting lineup. So that's why nobody really got less than a D. And there was only one D, and that's only because I felt like they had a big hole in their lineup, and that was it. But everybody else pretty much has a solid starting lineup. And some of the grades were more based off of if they were more of a balanced team, or if they have a solid bench, or if they're really missing at one position or another, then they didn't get as high of a grade or another. So, but this one's C+. I felt like they had a really solid starting unit. Not a real strong bench, specifically at running back, but they definitely have upside at wide receiver. I felt like they might have reached for several players that might not pay off due to age or situation, but they ended up trading wide receiver. They could end up trading a wide receiver for running back depth later on. So, but this is based off draft grade, and that's why also I prefaced earlier, that does not mean that's where your, team's going to finish. I mean, this team's got really good potential, but as far as draft, I mean, C+ for me. But you got the number one player, CMC, and if he's healthy, I firmly believe he'll be the number one player in fantasy football. And that's just it, if he's healthy. But that's the thing. If he's healthy, he's getting older. Eventually, he's got to break down sometime. Is it going to be this year? Who knows? I mean, he's 28, going to be 29, so he ain't hit that 30 yet. But we've seen him break down before, but we also know San Fran's going to lean on him. So I like CMC there. This is the pick I'm not crazy about. Michael Pittman with your second pick. I know you went one and you had to wait till it came all the way back around. I mean, right now, like Isaiah Pacheco on average, I mean, Devontae Adams is going, hold on, let me pull this up for ESPN. Y'all need ESPN's rankings, right, Clay?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see.
Devontae Adams went in the third.
Yeah. Let's see. I was looking because ESPN had, like on Fantasy Pros, because it's got ESPN's ADP next to it. It's got Devontae Adams around 21. Finally. Okay, it finally refreshed. There we go. All right, so let's see. Marvin Harrison was around then. I probably like him better than Pittman. Let's see. Where did he go at? Harrison.
Wide receivers after Pittman were Adams, London, Harrison Jr., Collins, Evans.
See, I like Harrison and London a lot better than Pittman. For one, they got better quarterback situations. I don't want to rely on Anthony Richardson, who I do not believe has a very, very strong rapport with Pittman. I think Pittman was who he was last year because of Minshew, not Richardson. Now, I'm not saying that can't develop, but I know the preseason action I watched with Richardson, he looked for the rookie Mitchell a lot more than I feel comfortable than he did with Pittman. Like, I just don't think you want to have him tied to your second overall pick. That's me personally. I don't think he has the upside in that offense to produce of what you have a second. Now, his floor might be okay, but not at your second pick. That's just me. That was honestly that pick right there. I already knew I was probably going around a C, but I mean, he did step it back up. I didn't like all right. So he went Joe Mixon at 3. Not a big fan of that. Once again, not a lot of upside there. I feel like his ceiling's really capped. Let's see who went around Joe Mixon and that
Devon
he took him at the turn. So he took him at the turn. Man, you got Kamara. Like, dude, you're talking about a lot more catches there, I believe, than Joe Mixon, because I don't think Houston's throwing the ball to their running backs. I mean, when you got that many wide receivers that are stud playmakers, I mean, he might get a couple catches, but I mean, how many catches did their running backs get last year? I don't remember.
Singletary was all right, but I mean, nothing crazy.
But anyway, so Mixon there is your first RB1. Don't love that. I know you probably didn't have a ton of options. Let's see, 20. Let me get back to my list here.
A-Chain, Kamara, James Cook, Rashad White were the next ones off the board.
Man, I'd have loved Rashad White there, honestly, over Mixon. I know that would have been reaching down a little bit, but I feel like he's got so much more catching potential than Mixon. Now, Mixon might get a little bit more rushing touchdowns, but I don't know, man. Anyway, wasn't crazy about Mixon there, not to mention he's a little bit older, but they don't have anybody behind him really breathing down his neck in Houston. So, I mean, that could be a wash. DJ Moore there at the 4th. Love that pick. I think he is a solid wide receiver 2. Could be a wide receiver 1, but I would not want him as my 1, but he might end up being his 1, you know. Jalen Hurts at 41 in the 5th round. Pretty solid value. It's probably actually pretty right for him, I think. Let's see, at pick 41. Yeah. It's actually pretty solid value. He fell. No, did he? Where's he at on this list?
I think he's around like 35. I might be wrong though. He fell a little bit.
I got Lamar at 35.
Jesus.
See,
really?
on here, this is PPR, but it shouldn't matter for quarterbacks. But overall for PPR,
Lamar don't go until like 7th round, 63.
And you're on ESPN's ADPs?
No, I'm just talking about in our draft. So if
No, no,
that's
no,
the
no, no. I'm
case,
talking
then
about ADP in
yeah,
general.
yeah. But
Yeah, yeah. So
ain't no way Lamar's like
yeah,
people must be reaching for Lamar in a lot of drafts. I don't know.
yeah. Because see, he's going 35 overall.
And where's Hurts going?
27.
Okay, so that, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, which
So
y'all waiting on quarterbacks, which I highly. I'm
yeah,
just talking about as far as ADP, like
yeah.
which in y'all's draft, if you're waiting on quarterbacks, I still think Hurts is decent value in 5. I don't like going quarterback that early because I feel like honestly, Kyler Murray has got similar ceiling that Hurts has this year. Now Hurts has got a better floor probably for sure, but I feel like you could draft Murray in 8th round, which he went in this draft, and you could go back and back up your wide receiver a little bit there. That was just me. Then you go Amari Cooper. Not a fan of Amari Cooper this year. He's kind of on my do not draft list. Honestly, there's not many people I just do not draft. But then also at pick 60, I felt like you might have reached for him a little bit. Yeah, you did because he's going about 67. And I don't think there's a lot of people hunting Amari Cooper down in this draft. So you kind of reach down. It looks what was going around Cooper after Cooper.
Next receivers were
T. Higgins,
Tank Dell,
Tank Dell.
Terry
Yeah.
McLaurin, Godwin, Keenan Allen,
See,
Rasheed Rice.
love to have Godwin or Rasheed Rice. Oh my gosh. Got to give me some Rasheed Rice there. He's not getting suspended this year, guys, and he's the wide receiver 1 in KC. Like honestly, man, and with Hollywood Brown out, he's just getting more rapport with Mahomes. Like, give me the McLaurin or Rice all day right there over Cooper, who might have Dorian Thompson-Robinson as his quarterback. Like, Deshaun Watson has arm fatigue, and we ain't even hit the season yet. And like he's like sore arm or something. I don't even know. Let me see if I can find out.
They'll just play. They'll play Jameis Winston then.
Well, they say Dorian Thompson-Robinson might be over him right now.
Nah, I don't see that happening.
It'll be
Winston.
Either. But anyway, so if it is Winston, yeah, you might. I mean, but who's to say Winston didn't come in there like Jared Judy better? I don't know. I don't like Cooper there, especially that high. Maybe if he'd have fell to 7th round, but your 7th round pick is your next pick. So then you go Kyle Pitts. All right, I like Kyle Pitts. I don't know about that value. Let me see. I freaking went and messed up. Clicked on the wrong thing. Let's see. Let's see. 65. Kyle Pitts at 61. Yeah, but I mean, you reached a little bit for him, but he's got upside. He's got tight end 1 upside, like we've talked about. So I like that pick a lot. Najee Harris in Pittsburgh. I just don't know, man. I feel like Najee Harris is like I don't know. With Jalen Warren there, his ceiling's capped. I don't know about you, man, but the last couple of years I've watched Najee, he's just looked slow and like methodical, kind of plundering down the field. Like he gets a bunch of carries for a little bit. Like, I mean, how many games did we see last year with like 20 carries for like 65, 70 yards?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, he's not a player I'm going for at all.
And that's in the 8th round.
Yeah, it's a fine pick as your 3rd running back, though. I mean, I don't mind it.
Yeah, but with Joe Mixon, hold on, with Joe Mixon's your RB2. I mean, you still
but you're running back 1 being McCaffrey, like makes it to where you can be a little bit safer on the other 2 picks.
Who you got going after Najee?
Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, Jalen Warren, Nick Chubb.
Like Tony Pollard, like Chubb for that backup right there, because McCaffrey will make it a little bit in the season, hopefully, and so will Mixon. See, I'm looking at Chubb a lot more in these rounds now because when he comes back, like we know, like what he's going to be. So I'm picking up Chubb and Ford a lot in drafts now, like literally targeting them as much as possible because that Ford is a solid RB2 until Chubb comes back, and when Chubb comes back and is healthy, you're talking about a RB1 again. So anyway, but Najee Harris, not too crazy about him there. DeAndre Hopkins, I like Hopkins, but he's injured still. And you picked him in the 9th round. Like, man, I just not a big fan of that. Like there were some other wide receivers with more upside that are healthy that you could go for there. Let's see. That was around pick 81.
Christian Kirk, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
No, but
Christian Watson.
Javonte Williams is right in that area. Is he already gone?
Yeah, he went 2 rounds earlier.
Okay. Dude, that was good. Somebody reaching.
That was
me. Yeah. JSN, I like JSN's upside there.
Yeah,
he went way
6
better
picks
than
later.
Hopkins. I like Cortland Sutton better there, honestly, because he's the for sure one.
He went 3 picks earlier.
Are you serious, man? Yeah. He's like an R. What about Odunze?
I think he went way later. Yeah, he went round 11.
Yeah. Keon Coleman.
Round 10 to this same team.
Oh yeah.
20 picks later.
So I like him. All right. So we got Coleman and Thomas. All right. So I give him a break because you got Hopkins who, yeah, but you got severe upside. You got a lot of upside with Coleman and Thomas next. I was sitting there thinking, why did he not go Coleman or Thomas or somebody like that? And then he did back to back. So, but if he would have went one of them there, then he could have built some more running back depth. Went Xavier Worthy. So he's got 3 solid lottery. Like I bet he hits the lottery with one of those guys. Honestly.
Yeah, at least. All right.
So I love that. Then you go Broncos defense in the 13th round.
Browns defense.
Oh, sorry. I think Browns. All right. I get it. But they ain't the old Ravens. Like, you can't bank on them being like stud. Like, yes, they're ranked very good. But like we know how it goes. How many times have we had a stud defense ranked and then they come out and like remember the Chargers like what was it, a year or 2 ago?
Yeah.
They had like all the studs. Then they come out and we're just getting blown out. Like I don't know, like it was like these guys are supposed to be awesome and they're not. You know, like I just can't take a defense that early, man. I can't put my eggs not with the way the game is focused on offensive like scoring and everything is built around like protecting the players. You got more penalties. Like they just can't. Defense can't be as productive as it used to be. So I'm not for taking a defense in the 13th round where you could have been building more depth, especially at running back because that was my big knock on this team. You got Najee, all right, and then your next running back is Elijah Mitchell, who's on season-ending IR, and he was your second last pick. Okay, so you tried to pick the handcuff for McCaffrey, who was already hurt then. And, like, I mean, if he was already hurt then and you didn't know if he was going to play, I don't know, you know. So that's where I was like, you got no other running backs. So now you have McCaffrey, Mixon, and Najee Harris are your only running backs on your whole team.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that was just where I was at on that. And then TJ Hawkinson, love that pick. Me and you've talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Love him at tight end. And then he's coming back, backing up Pitts. Like, you want to talk about, I mean, that dude, trade bait, or if Pitts is blowing it up, makes you a little nervous, you got Hawkinson back.
Yeah.
Trade that mug for a running back. You know, and this is one where I was talking about, you might end up trading one of these wide receivers that busts out. Like if Hopkins does come back and studding it, trade him. If Cooper's studding it, trade him. Because like,
or if one of the rookies has a good, if one of the rookies has a good opener or something like that, then you can easily trade him.
Yeah, for maybe a running back that had a cruddy, you know, that's probably going to be okay. But yeah, so man, that took forever on that one pick. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
That was about 15 minutes on pick
one.
All right, so
let's
switch it up
a little bit.
So
yeah,
round pick 2. I'll just read off the picks and then we can just kind of talk about the high points or something. Pick 2 went Breece Hall, Chris Olave, Devon Achane, Stephon Diggs, Aaron Jones, Zay Flowers, Brian Robinson Jr., Dak Prescott, Christian Kirk, Austin Eckler, Raheem Mostert, Brock Bowers, Jerry Jeudy, Tua, Dallas Goedert, Kaimi Fairbairn, and then Dolphins defense. You gave this one a D.
I did. So this was a tough one just because he's got Hall. To me, one of the other few players in the draft that could rival CMC with his production and usage. And a solid pick with Olave. And then I felt like you went A-Chain, who to me is a big gamble. I mean, there are so many people picking him as a bust just because for him to reproduce of what he did last year, he'd have to be the most efficient running back in NFL like fantasy history again. And like I just don't think that's going to happen. And there's too many playmakers in that offense. There's too many running backs in that backfield. Man, that's your third pick, coach. And like he's your RB2, but then and that's you got Breece Hall, but he's still your third pick. Like, and so then I was like, well, maybe he's got a lot of upside coming after. And I mean, he's got Aaron Jones, who might be in a timeshare already. Okay. And then, which I know Clay likes Aaron Jones, and if he's healthy, could be very beneficial. But the word is, even if he is healthy, he's gonna be he's still gonna get like it might be like a 60-40 with him and Ty Chandler. But
I kind of like the running backs here. I mean, I like Breesy, obviously. I think A-Chain, with more carries, yeah, the efficiency's gonna drop, but he's probably gonna get at least, I would say, 5 touches a game more. And, within those, he's probably gonna be still pretty freaking good. Aaron Jones probably gonna be pretty solid. And then you got Brian Robinson Jr., who I think is a really good pick at the 7th. So between those 4, I think your running back room is perfectly fine. And then you also have Eckler and Mostert later. Like, I think the running backs are fine. To me, the issue would be receivers.
So I like Diggs, okay, and I like Olave. So I feel like your 1 and 2 are there. Zay Flowers is your 3, and then I don't like Kirk that much this year, and then I don't like Judy. And so I'm right there with you. So I get what you're saying about the running backs, but my problem with the running backs is if all of them are timeshares, you're going to be trying to figure out who to start every week. Like, you're not going to know, like, do I start A-Chain? Do I start Mostert? What if Mostert's got all the carries this week and then A-Chain got 10 touches and he did nothing? And it's like Mostert got 15 carries for 100 yards and then they swap it up and you start Mostert. Well, then what if it's an A-Chain week? And then you're trying to get on that page. What if it's like a 40-50 split all year? And then you're sitting there, you got this great backfield, but none of your guys are producing at that value that you were hoping for. Same thing with Robinson and Eckler. Like,
I think your plan, which Robinson and Eckler, I think Robinson's the solidified guy, and Eckler is just like maybe. But with A-Chain and Mostert, I'd be shocked if A-Chain's not the guy as long as he's out there. Yeah. But if it does come out and it's a 50-50 split, play both of them. Like we've seen it before. Like Mark Ingram and Kamara worked, and that's about how that backfield can work. And the offense is obviously, good enough to play both. It wouldn't be the worst idea, especially we have a 2 flex league, so it wouldn't be like awful to play Mostert because if he's the guy that gets the goal line touches, then you get 10 points from him, and then maybe 10 more from A-Chain.
If it works like that. But if it don't, I don't know.
Yeah, A-Chain's a risk, but at the same time, A-Chain and Breesy Hall you could just win the league with them too.
Could be, but if they were that comfortable with A-Chain, why do you draft Jalen Wright?
Because you're a Niners scheme, the same way that the Niners draft a running back every year. And then when they have McCaffrey.
Why do you keep Jeff Wilson Jr.?
Just because he's a Niners guy and he knows the system. Like, I don't think Jeff Wilson's touching the ball, and I think Jalen Wright. I think Jalen Wright's there for maybe a touch or 2 a game, but I think it's the Mostert A-Chain show, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be like a 60-40 A-Chain to start the year.
And then you got Waddle healthy, and you got Tyreek Hill healthy.
Yeah,
and it's like they're gonna get theirs to like Hill's getting his. Like, and that's what people are forgetting. A-Chain is not the focal point of this offense. It is Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And, and Waddle, not saying Waddle's next because it's probably A-Chain with his efficiency, but what if it's not A-Chain next? What if it's Waddle next? Then it's A-Chain.
I think A-Chain has risk, but I feel like last year was almost, it wasn't supposed to even happen yet for him. Last year was supposed to be the Mostert show, and A-Chain was still very, very good when he touched the ball. Now it's year 2. Like, this is the year that A-Chain's supposed to actually be even good. And now he's going to have the opportunity.
So-
Does he stay healthy? Who knows? But I think between him and Brees Hall, like them two could like carry you every single week.
But if it falls right for him, his running backs are stacked. Like if he ends up getting the 70-30 and he's got every one of them, like, I mean, it could be stacked. And then, like we said, the wide receiver, yeah. But my biggest question mark was the tight end. So you go Brock Bowers as your tight end 1 in pick 12, who is probably the 4th option on one of the worst offensive teams in the NFL. I know he was drafted high. I get it, but they've already said Mike Mayer is going to still play. He's still going to be involved in the offense. Then you got Devontae Adams. Then you got Jacoby Myers. Then you got Zamir White. Then you got Brock Bowers. Like, I think Brock Bowers is probably a great player that landed in a bad spot, and he could be relevant again one day. I just don't know. Maybe he comes out and gets 15 targets for 10 catches for 120 yards. I don't know. But I just can't see it right now. And that's your 1. So then your backup is Dallas Goedert. And I mean, you've already heard Clay and I talk about Dallas Goedert. He's on both our bus lists.
Yeah.
And like he's like the 5th option in his offense. Now, that's a great offense, but it might be an offense that doesn't pass as much with Saquon. And you take away a few more targets from him, and then Saquon gets a few targets. And then you got Devontae and A.J. Brown getting theirs. And then you just signed Jahan Dotson, who they said they have plans for. Heck, I'm running out of fingers on where Dallas Goedert is in the pecking order. So I don't feel good about either one of the tight ends there. And honestly, I feel like you're probably dropping one eventually and picking up somebody that's doing better like Colby Parkinson for the Rams.
It is the it's a tight end at the end of the day, so like it's not that big of a deal.
But so y'all don't have a tight end spot.
No, we do. No, we
so
play
you
a
have
tight end
and 2 flexes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We start 10 people. Yeah.
And okay, I got you. So
we have the tight end. You play them, but after your top 3, maybe 5 this year, like you're kind of just hoping that something works. Yeah. And with Bowers and Goddard, like, we're both kind of low on both of them, but at the end of the day, one of them probably does decent every week. Now, who's it going to be? I don't know. So that could be the issue.
I don't know. I could see a scenario playing out where neither one of them does good every week.
Maybe, but I think at the end of the year, at least one of them is probably going to be top 10 or fringe.
Yeah,
just because the position's that weak.
I liked how he did I liked his quarterback situation. Prescott and Tua hedging your bet, and I like pairing Tua with the Miami situation there. So, I don't know. There's just a lot of people that I have question marks on this team, and then there was a big hole at tight end for me, and that's why it got as low of a grade as it did for me. And it could be fine because, like I was saying, like if all his running backs hit one or the other and they're not 50-50 splits, then he's going to be golden as far as that goes, and he might be trading one of them for a better wide receiver than Zay Flowers. You know. But anyway, so moving on to pick 3, rock on with pick 3, and then I'll go through it. I'm gonna try to move quicker.
We got Bijan Robinson, Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara, so 3 running backs to start off the draft, and then you go 3 receivers with Devonta Smith, Malik Neighbors, George Pickens. You get your quarterback with Lamar, and then you get some depth with Cortland Sutton and Zach Moss, Taysom Hill at tight end because it's Louisiana, Roma Dunze, Trevor Lawrence at quarterback to back up Lamar, Darnell Mooney, Jets defense, McPherson at kicker, Adam Thielen, and Cole Kmet to round out the team.
So C+, almost a B, solid at quarterback, awesome at running back. Would probably consider trading for like a true wide receiver 1, considering Devontae is your wide receiver 1 or Malik Neighbors is your 1. I feel like neither one of those are 1s yet. I feel like Neighbors has the most potential to be a 1, but we don't know yet. I think he could be that, and I got that in my notes here. Honestly, after a good start to season, he probably could be a 1, but it's a lot of hope in that. He's got a lot of upside at wide receiver, I feel like, or a fair amount. Not crazy about his tight end reliability, but he's got a decent bench. That's why like C plus could have probably squeezed maybe B, but I don't like his tight end. I mean, he's got Hill, and a lot of people are high on him, but it's like I just want a little bit more stability than like 29 points this week, 4 points this week, 3 points this week, 12 points this week, 30 points this week, 2 points this week, 3 points this week. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but I get it. Like, it's tight end, but like, I just need, he's scared. And I've played him like in bye weeks and picked him up whenever my tight end got hurt or my tight end was garbage and there wasn't nobody else. Like, I mean, and he's a great upside play. But your backup's Cole Kmet, who I think is going to be maybe out in his offense with all the other playmakers. I don't know. Of course, Keenan Allen's banged up now. So the Roma Dunze pick I love because I was sitting here thinking the other day, I was like, man, if Keenan Allen or DJ Moore goes down, Roma Dunze might be like just blow up. Like, because he's already looking good with Caleb Williams. And like, I mean, we could be sleeping on this cat right now because he was probably, I mean, you could argue, man, he could be battling with Harrison and Neighbors as a one almost. It really, he was just in Washington, and it was like they had all these other wide receivers. They're not in the SEC, you know, but you look at him and you watch him play, man, he looks good. And so anyway, but I like Bijan, like ETN, like Kamara. I mean, that's dude. So my only thing there is I probably would have went wide receiver with one of those picks. I love all three of those guys though, but I probably would have went wide receiver one. But I mean, I can't fault them because at the values, I mean, you got Kamara there and at 3, which is pretty solid. But then you went Devontae with 4. Who else? What other wide receivers went around 38, Clay?
Right after him was Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, and
DJ
then
Moore. I would have probably rather had I felt like he's got more wide receiver one upside than Devontae. And I know he got a Dunze later, but then you'd kind of been hedging your bet a little bit.
and then Malik Neighbors, you had Waddle and Debo Samuel right around there. So
yeah, so I mean, you don't really have a ton of really wide receiver one upside other than Moore. Maybe Diggs, if he ends up being that guy in Houston, you could roll the dice there. I think, you know, I like Diggs, but I get why you didn't go there. But man, I just don't believe enough in Devontae to be the one with AJ Brown.
I like Devontae a lot this year.
I mean, yeah, but is your one?
Well, it's as your one whenever you've got 3 like every game starters at running back. So you kind of take it where you can get it. And you know, between how I'm looking at it is you're starting 6 running back / receivers every week, and between Bijan, ETN, Kamara, Smith, Neighbors, Pickens, I feel pretty good about those 6 most weeks. And then you know here and there, throw in a Cortland Sutton, throw in a Zach Moss maybe if Odunze hits, then maybe throw in him. But
and see, and honestly, the more I look at this one, probably could have been made honest because I do like Lamar and how he hedged it with Trevor Lawrence. Because I do like Trevor Lawrence bounces. And I like Cortland Sutton. Not crazy about Zach Moss, but I mean, some people think he's the guy over Chase Brown. You know, it is what it is. But I do think he probably should have went one more running back. I know you're probably not going to play him, but if one of your guys gets hurt and then bye weeks, like you got no depth after Zach Moss. And that's what it was. I think. No, I didn't say nothing about that. Anyway, but I remember seeing that, and I guess I didn't type that out. I don't know, but that was one thing. Like, I mean, I know you were still building wide receivers, but like you went Adam Thielen at the end. I probably would have took a stab at some running back there, you know, that might have upside. Like Rico Dowdle's been going in that range, honestly, way down there. So you might could have took like 16 or so, 158. I don't know where he went, but he probably went higher because, you know, but
yeah, he went in the 13th round.
Okay, which that was where he took Mooney.
Yeah, so he took Mooney 2 picks before Dowdle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because you got a Dunze right there. You got Cortland Sutton before that. I mean, he was trying to, you know, build some because he went so heavy running back, but then I feel like he could have come back running back one more time. Either way, C plus, maybe B minus. Solid team though, you know. Let's go ahead and move on to pick 4.
All right, 4 is Tyreek Hill at 1, Kyron Williams at 2, James Cook at 3, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, Patrick Mahomes, George Kittle, CJ Stroud. So you doubled up at quarterback there. I believe this is Mark Parker. Tony Pollard, David Njoku, Jordan Addison, Tyler Algier, Justin Tucker, Cowboys defense, Dalton Schultz, Adonai Mitchell, and then Bengals defense.
So this one, I put a B. And the more I look at it, I was like, probably should have been like a B minus. But I mean, still, he's got a really solid lineup. I like his running back. Like you got Williams, Cook, and then you got Tony Pollard, Algier. Yeah, I mean, he's a solid backup, but I mean, it kind of, it feels like a balanced team. You start looking at it, it's like, well, he kind of falls off there. Well, he's got a solid tight end room. Now, I did think that he went 3 tight ends. That was one that I was like, I'm not really sure why he went 3 tight ends.
3 tight ends, 2 defenses, and 2 quarterbacks.
So let's see, too many tight ends gives you options, but it's like, yeah. And then,
when one of them is George Kittle, you don't really need an option.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to bet on another guy like Njoku, but anyway, I put in here, if Ayuk wasn't in a situation, I'd have said an A. But honestly, that probably is what bumps it to a B because he got Ayuk there in the 4th round. And he did sign, so he should be back. The bench is so-so is what I put, but 2 defenses and too many tight ends. Probably use a little more depth at wide receiver because, like, you got, let's see, you got what?
Jordan
you got
Addison
Ayuk,
and Adonai Mitchell.
You got Hill, Ayuk, and Waddle. And,
you have Waddle and Hill.
Addison. Yeah, and that, I mean, same team, but to me, like, I would feel more comfortable playing Hill and Waddle than I would A-Chain and Mostert. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. But still, that kind of limits you at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
I don't like Kyron Williams this year, so that kind of is an iffy to me.
Man, at 25 and RB5 last year, and he played 12 games.
Yeah, but now he's gonna be a punt returner.
But dude, if you get the touchdown off that, all right. So have you been watching the way some of these special teams plays out though?
Well, that's kick returner. When's the last time a starting running back on a team was a punt returner?
Well, maybe
punt return's different. Now throwing Tyreek at punt return, sure, like it happens, but running back, you don't ever put them in the way of just more contact and more miles if you don't have to, especially for a guy that you're drafting in the 2nd round.
Did he say punt return or did he say returning kicks?
No, he said Kyron Williams is our starting punt returner.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that, and I already didn't like him this year, but I feel really weird about that.
I still can't get off that run that he did last year especially with Stafford being in and out, with them only having either Cooper and Kupp or Nakua back and forth. Like, I mean, they leaned on him heavy and he produced. Like, and McVay knows, man. Like, I just don't see McVay just like I just feel like there's a plan there, man. I don't know. I can't give up on that kind of production. So I don't know. I like him. I like him as an RB1. I like Cook. I like Cook as a low end RB1. So I feel like you got 2 RB1s.
I prefer Cook to Kyron straight
up.
You've
got probably the number 1 wide receiver. You got right now you got 2 solid wide receiver 2s in Ayuk and Waddle. And then you got Mahomes and Stroud. Now I don't think you probably should have went that strong a backup from Mahomes because you're never going to probably play Stroud except for the bye week unless he gets hurt. So and
you don't need a backup at all from Mahomes.
Well, I mean, I always like having somebody on my bench for that bye week. So you don't like if you can draft somebody late, like with that Dalton Schultz, if you can get Kirk Cousins, you know what I mean? Like you get somebody like that at the end of your draft, or Aaron Rodgers, and he's just sitting there. You pretty much get him for free, and you don't have to go and look for that guy. Or if Mahomes for some reason gets hurt, you're not in a bind on the waiver. I mean, which I've always
been against drafting a backup quarterback if I get one in like that top 5 range. Just because I just like with Jalen Hurts, I got him in a draft. I'm not ever playing anyone else. Now, that 1 week where there's a bye, but I'll just, whoever's playing the freaking Giants that week. I'll just play against
Yeah.
them, like something like that. Like
Yeah.
for 1 week, I can deal with it, but I'd rather just take more depth at running back or tight end, or I mean,
Yeah.
running back or receiver.
Yeah.
This draft, I hate it. I'm just gonna be honest, but that's just
Yeah.
me. I don't
Yeah.
like drafting two quarterbacks, especially in the freaking sixth and eighth. I
Yeah.
don't like drafting three tight ends. I don't really love Kyron this year. I don't love both Miami receivers. Like there's just a lot for me not to like about it. Two defenses as well. Like
Yeah, the two defenses, I was like, what are we doing there? You drafted Cowboys kind of early, and then you went the Bengals last. But I
yeah,
like Adonye Mitchell late. I mean, I think he's got a tremendous upside. I like him a lot this year.
yeah.
Then you drafted Tucker, who's, a solid kicker, but still you draft him in round 13. This probably should have been more like a C, because I still think he's got a solid starting group that could compete, and then you still got Pollard, right there,
And
in the
also
middle of it.
looking,
So
so he's gonna have to start since we run the two flex plus the tight end. So he's every
yeah,
week he's starting one of Pollard and Joku or Addison, which
I mean, I don't mind starting Pollard,
maybe. I mean, Pollard's
and
okay,
if
but
Njoku plays like he did last year, you don't mind starting Njoku because I started him
yeah,
and
but I
Trey
mean, how
McBride
many
last
times
year.
is no? I mean, two tight ends is gonna be pretty rough.
I started
When he
Trey.
drafted Stroud, when did he? Let me see what was around
Yeah, no,
Stroud.
I'm not saying. I mean, I
Yeah.
still think he should have drafted somebody else there.
Yeah, I mean Cortland
Uh,
Sutton, DeAndre Hopkins, Najee Harris, even like just there's no reason for Stroud there.
yeah,
Just no
Cortland
reason.
Sutton would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, moving on to pick 5.
All right. We got CeeDee Lamb, Isaiah Pacheco, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Debo Samuel, David Montgomery, Tank Dell, Joe Burrow, Jake Ferguson, Chase Brown, Jaleel McLaughlin, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Jared Goff, Saints defense, Joshua Palmer, and Matt Gay. Gave it a B minus.
Yeah, and honestly, I really like this one. Solid value with CeeDee Lamb at 5, especially since he's now signed. A little nervous with Pacheco at my 1, but he's got that upside. But I am more nervous now that they signed Samaje Perine.
Yeah.
That does make me a little nervous that they're not sold, because I feel like Perine is somebody that can still produce and still come in. He's a great pass blocker. So I kind of wonder if he doesn't start coming out on some of those passing plays again. I don't know. But anyway, that was before, like, that happened after I wrote about this. Plenty of upside options, honestly, at the bench. I like that I feel like they could help, especially if they end up hitting. I feel like he drafted probably the 3 oldest wide receivers in the draft, and 2 of the most fragile, probably. But I mean, one of them could still be a wide receiver 1 if healthy, and in the right situation. I like his quarterback situation with Burrow and then Goff late. I like Nola's defense because I do feel like he drafted him maybe a little early, but in this draft, you probably got to pick him a little early, because it's in Louisiana. And then I love the Palmer pick late. So those are some of my highlights there. I mean, you're running out of solid lineup. I feel like David Montgomery at running back, I'm not crazy about that. It's your RB2. But I mean, that's where he's going because of the Gibbs injury now. If you like him, you feel strong about him. I can't argue because he's been productive. And then you do have Chase Brown, Jaleel McLaughlin, Chuba Hubbard, and Rico Dowdle to back all that up. I think you got a decent chance that 2 of those guys at least be solid RB2s. And then you're sitting there with those guys as your backups. And then you got Goff. Love the Saints. Love Palmer. I think Palmer is one of the most underrated wide receivers right now still, because I still think he's the number 1 wide receiver in that offense. And I still think they're going to throw at least 30 times a game, 30 to 35 times. And he's probably getting 10 of those targets. And not to mention, could be the end zone target. He's big enough to be for sure. And he's got the best chemistry with Justin Herbert of anybody on that team. So that's where I'm at with
Yeah,
that.
it's a fine draft.
Yeah.
I look at starting David Montgomery. That is a little bit rough, but yeah, I mean that range
I
of
mean,
Brown,
and
McLaughlin, Hubbard, Dowdle, that's really good.
And if Gibbs misses time, Montgomery's great. He's solid,
Yeah.
and he's really solid if he gets the touchdowns, even if Gibbs plays, because he's getting a lot of the running work. So it's just I would have probably went somebody else there, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway.
looking at the next running backs
Love Ferguson,
available
though.
would have been like a Brian Robinson, DeAndre Swift. I mean, not really much in that range.
Yeah.
But you're probably starting all four of them receivers every week. CD, Devontae, Cup, Samuel. I mean, if they all play and they stay healthy, it feels pretty
Yeah.
good. And then
no doubt.
also Tank Dell. So yeah, it's pretty good. The Ferguson and Lamb on the same team is kind of concerning, and Dowdle. Like that might be a little bit too much in one offense.
I really wasn't thinking about that first. I really wasn't. I was thinking about them all individually.
Yeah.
And then now that you put, but hey, if that offense does what it's been doing the last couple of years,
those two guys are usually
you would play them all. But
those two guys are usually like the only two guys that get involved pretty much in Dallas.
Right.
So it could work. I mean, kind of like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce back in the day for Kansas
especially
City.
with tight end being like it is, So, but anyway, I mean, it's a solid team.
It's not bad at all.
I like. It's probably one of my more favorite teams in this draft, for sure. Which is why it made it to the B range.
Yeah.
But and anyway, it could have went a little bit more. But anyway, moving on to pick 6.
All right, we got Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, Drake London, Kenneth Walker III, Trey McBride, Ramondre Stevenson, Javonte Williams, Deontay Johnson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Ezekiel Elliott, J.K. Dobbins, Jaden Daniels, Khalil Shakir, Kirk Cousins, Ty Chandler, Young Koo, and Lions defense.
Man, I wonder whose team this is.
Yeah, that is mine.
I know whose it is. I knew whose it was when I read it. And honestly, the only thing, my opinion's changed on this part since this happened, because I've read more about Walker catching the more balls, but he's still a low end RB1, high end RB2 is your RB1, but he has that RB1 upside. I could live with that, especially with Chase.
I didn't like
Chase,
it myself.
Nacua, and London. But with Chase, Nacua, and London, I mean, dude, studs. Now, I don't like Nacua as much as other people do, but he still has great upside. He's got a high floor with a high ceiling if Cup goes out. I think his ceiling's capped with Cup in there, but he's still got that potential. Still going to be solid. It's not like you got to worry about him busting or nothing like that,
Yeah.
But anyway,
running back flew off the board like crazy. So after Nacua,
well, that one guy took 3. Bam, bam, bam. And
I got Nacua in the mid-second, and then third, I got Drake London. But between Pakua and London, so that's 10 picks.
Yep.
There was Pacheco, Kyron, Etienne, Mixon, A-Chain, Kamara, Cook. So that's 7. So 7 of them ran, and then
I felt like you did good though. You got, because then you got the potential tight end 1 at pick 5.
I have Trey McBride in every draft so far,
and then you got solid upside at your RB2s. Like every one of your RB2s has got great upside, except for maybe Zeke, who I don't really care for. That's probably why you got the B+ and not the A-, because I felt like Zeke there was. Man,
I didn't like Zeke myself there, to be honest. And my reasoning. Well,
anyway, you go ahead and tell me that.
It looks bad. It looks bad because Chase Brown went the pick after, but Chase Brown was like 25 down the board. So my plan was to take Zeke and then take Chase Brown the next pick, but Chase Brown went literally the next pick after me. So I mean, if I would have known that, I would have taken Chase Brown right then. But I did go Zeke, and my outlook of it was that I was already kind of weak at the position.
Yep.
So instead of like taking more, like with Chase Brown, it's still kind of a risk.
Yep.
With Zeke, I kind of feel like
you know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Like if I absolutely need someone to play week 3, I might can throw Zeke in there and hope for a touchdown, pretty much. So it was like it's not a good pick in my opinion, but it's fine. That's how I looked at it.
So this is where I would have looked at my draft board and I'd have seen I got Walker, Ramondre, Javonte, and all 3 of those ahead of this. So this is my 4th running back, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could take that, or I could swing for somebody that's got a lot more upside, and then know that I can still get Dobbins or Rico Dowdle later,
Yeah.
or somebody, and that's why I was like, man, but this is that spot earlier, like I was telling you, that I tend to do this in drafts. Maybe it works, maybe it don't. I don't know. But I look and I see Zeke there, and I'm like, man, I just don't like Zeke. And then I start going down, and then I'm picking somebody that I like. I'm not gonna pick somebody I don't like and hope my next guy comes back to me that I do like. I'm just gonna drop down here and pick who I do like. My next guy that I like at running back, that's who I'm gonna go with. I might drop down 20, 15 picks, but I'm gonna have that guy that I like. And then I'm not gonna have that guy I don't like and miss the guy that I like because he gets picked before it comes back around. But hindsight's 2020. You went Zeke. He still has upside. He's still probably the goal line guy right now.
Yeah.
Now, does Rico take that from him? Does he get hurt? Who knows? But anyway, that's the only thing really that I really didn't like. I didn't like him there.
Yeah, and I think with Ramondre and Javonte, I think they're both going to be, pretty much the solidified guys in their backfield.
Yep.
But I am a little bit worried still at sometimes because for one, with Ramondre, like it is New England, so how much is there going to be for him?
Questionable offenses.
Yeah, and then
good
with
roles and
Javonte,
questionable offenses,
I think McLaughlin is going to. I am kind of scared of him, to be honest. But that's why I kind of went a little bit safer there. But then I love J.K. Dobbins this year, so I feel really good about him.
I do too. I love the Jane Daniels value right there.
Well, and it almost got a little bit better.
It
almost got a little bit better because I was 3 picks away from Jordan Love being there.
Oh,
and if I would have gotten Jordan Love in the 12th, I'd have been like very, very happy.
They were out on him, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, but I like Dobbins. I like Daniels. I like Khalil Shakir. He was somebody I was trying to get in my last draft. He didn't fall to me. He got sniped 2 picks before me, but I like him and his value. I like Kirk Cousins. Ty Chandler. I like Ty Chandler. I liked him more when I was hearing more 50-50 timeshare than I'm hearing 60-40 now.
Yeah.
But Aaron Jones is still a health question mark. And they still like Ty Chandler a lot, I feel like, in Minnesota. But if they liked him enough, would they have went and got Aaron Jones?
Yeah.
But he still, if he is the man, if Aaron Jones gets hurt, like it's him. So anyway, but that's such a late pick. I mean, I like it. And then Koo in the Detroit, I like both of them there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is great draft.
I felt pretty good about it.
I like it. I'd be happy with it. And that's what I was also like, guys. Like, I don't ever draft an A team. Like, I really feel like I never do. It just happens. Like drafts, you get out of control. You like the Zeke pick. Like that happens. It's not like it's easy for me to look at these drafts and say this, and I didn't pick them, and it's over. Like you get in this draft, I mean, it just happens.
And the heat of the moment and the draft board, you're just looking at the board. You're like, why is he still there?
And then you make a pick, and then you go back and look after, like, what was I thinking?
Yeah,
and that happens. So anyway, but on to pick 7. This is
we got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derrick Henry, Marvin Harrison Jr., Josh Jacobs, Mark Andrews, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Kyler Murray, Christian Watson, Devin Singletary, Gus Edwards, Antonio Gibson, Zach Charbonnet, Caleb Williams, Ravens D, Romeo Dobbs, Jake Bates, and A- here.
Yeah.
And this is Josh. And I'll tell you this, me and him we were sitting next to each other during the draft, and there were numerous of these picks where he barely took the player before me, or I barely took a player before him. So that kind of did suck. Kyler Murray being one of them. I was going to take Kyler in the 8th, and that's when I instead went with Deontay Johnson. But Caleb Williams was another one. He took my backup. I was going to go Daniels and Williams, and he took Williams 1 pick before me. So yeah, there was a lot of that between us. But I mean, yeah, this draft ain't bad at all. I like it.
Yeah. So the only thing I don't like about this, and honestly, if he would have picked his backups a little bit more like what I think, like the ones I like, he probably would have got an A, like straight up, or I don't even know what you say. He was close, man, because but then he got to his bench and he starts picking a bunch of guys that I'm just not crazy about. But his starters are like, man, I like them all. I like Amon Ra. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, Amon Ra don't have that. Yeah, but Amon Ra is like you're getting a top 10 player.
Yeah.
You might not get the number one player, and he might not be the number one wide receiver, but he is going to be a top 10 fantasy player. Like,
Yeah.
it is built in his floor. So, like, to pick him at 7, great. Absolutely love it. But I do say, where did Justin Jefferson go?
8, the next pick.
That was the only thing. I was like, man, I probably would have went JJ first there. And could you imagine if he'd have went JJ with this team? Just saying.
I prefer Amon-Ra this year over JJ.
I don't know, man.
I'm just scared of Sam Darnold mainly. That's my number one issue.
I think Justin Jefferson's got the athletic advantage over Amon-Ra, and I think that takes it. The run after the catch takes it to another level for the wide receiver. And but anyway, I still love ASB. Like I mean, I picked him 2 years ago. Like, and I told my buddy AJ last year, who drafted him, I think in the 3rd round. And because he was trying to figure out who to pick, and he was picking way before me, he wasn't going to make it to me in this draft 12 team. And I was like, dude, I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, next year, ASB is going to be in the top 1st round. I'm telling you, pick him in the 3rd right now. He said, you think? I was like, I'm telling you, he takes another step. He's just got it. Like, you see it with him in golf, and you see it on the field. Like, it's coming. And here he is, you know. And I was just like, I'm not trying to brag, but it's just like when you watch him play with golf, they have that connection that you want to see with your stud wide receiver. So anyway, I love Amon-Ra. Derrick Henry, like that pick there. A lot of people are out on him. I still think he blows it up this year. Not surprised Josh went with him there. I know he likes Henry. Marvin Harrison, love it. Jacobs, love it. I mean, you and I both. Dude, if I get Jacobs in the 4th, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
Like, so excited.
A week ago, Jacobs in the 4th felt like kind of normal. Now it's a great pick.
Well, honestly, now I'm hoping to get him in the 3rd because he's not making it to the 4th by any means. So, and I'm picking 8th in my draft, which I don't know if this will air before my draft or not because we don't even know when we're drafting. But I'm hoping Jacobs makes to me at 3rd because I'm taking him.
Yeah.
Because I think he's RB1 this year, personally. And anyway, love that. Andrews, I mean, he's a stud.
Andrews and Henry
upside.
Andrews and Henry is a little bit iffy to me.
But you got tight end 1 upside in a tight end, and that's all you can ask for a tight end. Do I like him at 5? Probably not, because I like McBride more at that value because of his youth and his health.
I took McBride the pick before him. So.
And he probably, so I get Andrews there. I can't knock him for it. It wouldn't have been my pick. I probably wouldn't have went tight end. I would have waited and went Ferguson later.
Yeah. He could have went Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf right then.
I probably would have went DK. What was other running backs? Because
Zamir White, James Conner.
Man, I probably would have went Zamir because I think they lean heavy on Zamir because Antonio Pierce is still old school. And I feel like they lean on the run still because of their quarterback issues. And I know it's a bad offense, but when you get 20 carries and 4 catches a game, it don't matter what offense you're in, you're going to produce. And especially when you're getting goal line work. And I know Alexander Madison's there, but dude, I mean, I know y'all remember me talking that guy we ain't never heard of from St. Cloud State or Western Michigan Community College, whatever, was beating out Alexander Madison. Like, dude, Zamir White's the guy. All right. Anyway, so I like Zamir White too, but man, that'd have been tough to go him over Mark Andrews. Anyway, I like Mark Andrews is fine, whatever. T. Higgins, love it. Love Terry McLaurin. Honestly, I can't tell you how many mock drafts and everything I've done, and I picked those guys back to back right there. I mean, love those 2 picks. That was probably eating you up too. At least Terry McLaurin. I know you like him, and you could have paired him with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Sorry, man.
But I did go Javonte Williams right before McLaurin, just because I did reach for him a little bit, but
but that was good, and that was fine because you're sitting there trying to pad your running backs because you got stud wide receivers.
Yeah, so after my first 3 of receivers, I just didn't care honestly at that point.
So, but yeah, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, love those. That's another 2 reasons right there that I'm not afraid to go running back heavy early.
Yeah.
Because you got those two guys right in that area. Then you got Kyler Murray, and then you got Christian Watson following. Christian Watson has wide receiver one upside, guys. If he stays healthy, God bless his hamstrings. If he stays healthy, he could be a wide receiver one.
Biggest
And
if
I
of
know it's hard to
anybody in
say.
fantasy, probably. But
Yes. Now, I'm not saying I'm betting my boat on it, but if you're going to pick a lottery ticket in the 9th round, why not pick somebody that could be a wide receiver one, a top 10 wide receiver? Like, and he's got it, man. He does. When you see him catch the ball and make those plays, like, dude. Anyway, so I like him. I don't like him a lot, like early by any means. But if I'm going to have a lottery pick somewhere, I don't mind having Christian Watson as that guy, especially in that offense with Jordan Love. I think Matt LaFleur knows what Watson can do. The only thing is, does he put him in a bubble and try to keep him healthy?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I like Christian Watson. Devin Singletary, I like him as backup. And then after this pick, I feel like the wheels start falling off, personally.
Yeah.
Because he goes to string of running backs that I don't really like any of them, personally. They're backups, but I don't really care for them that much. But I like Singletary. He is the number 2 option in this offense, a very bad offense, but he's going to get the checkdowns. He's going to get the screen passes. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities to see Devin Singletary have 5 to 7 catches every game.
Yeah.
And then he's probably going to get 15 carries every game. So, I mean, probably an RB2, low end with a low ceiling, but probably an RB2. So I like Singletary. And then he goes Edwards, not crazy because I think it's J.K. Dobbins. Antonio Gibson, it's a bad offense. He's the running back too, but he could. So rumor is he could play slot. I don't know if that's the case because Pop Douglas is playing slot, but
he played it in college, so maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
And Bourne will be back in a couple weeks.
I feel like Antonio Gibson never got a fair shake in Washington because they kept viewing him as only a pass catcher.
I drafted him so freaking much, but they viewed him as a pass catcher, and then J.D. McKissick got the ball every freaking week as a pass catcher.
I know.
If he's a pass catcher, use him as one.
Yeah, so I like Gibson, and he's really somebody like. I feel like he could be very productive if used the right way, and he hasn't been used the right way yet. So, I mean, he's the one of this group that it's like.
Now, this year, I hope it don't happen because I got Ramondre in a couple leagues.
But I think they can use both of them in this offense because they got no true wide receiver one yet. I think Polk could be that guy, but we don't know.
Yeah.
And anyway, so Gibson, Charbonnet, I feel like from what I've heard,
unless there's an injury, I don't see much.
Yeah, that's right. He's just a strict handcuff. If you don't have Kenneth Walker, I don't think you worry about drafting Charbonnet. Personally.
And I don't even honestly care to draft him with Walker.
Yeah.
If Walker goes down, I don't think Charbonnet becomes like a 90%
right here.
touch guy.
Where did Rico Dowdle go right here?
Let's see. Dowdle went 2 picks before Charbonnet.
Okay. Who went after running back wise?
Chuba
Hubbard?
No. The next running back drafted was Ty Chandler, like 2 rounds later. There's a lot of receivers. To Ty Chandler, Kendre Miller, Marshawn Lloyd.
No.
Yeah, I mean not
much. I don't know who I'd have went.
Chuba went round 12. He went 2 picks after Gibson.
Let me scroll down. All right, this one's gonna bother me because I want to see who's way the freak down here. Jalen Wright for Miami.
Yeah, could have gone that.
I would have liked him better just in case he's returning, which I don't know if y'all get kicks or nothing like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jaleel McLaughlin already went, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was very little taken after him that was good at running back. I mean, Ty Chandler's probably the highest upside one.
Jordan Mason, because he's backing up CMC.
Yeah, but back then Mitchell was still back up, so
that's true. Well, he was hurt, but yeah, he was.
Everybody thought he was not going to miss the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good draft overall.
Yeah. Though. Yeah. Anyway, we got to keep it moving. I'm sorry, Clay. And I like Caleb Williams, like Ravens, and I like Dobbs late. Now, people forget Dobbs has led targets in Green Bay. and he hedged his bet with Watson there because if Watson goes down, I feel like Dobbs gets a boost.
Yeah.
So anyway,
unless Reed becomes the one.
Yeah, I think Reed's going to be what Reed's been.
Yeah.
Who's good, but I still think he plays a different role in this offense.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on to pick 8. I know we rambled
8 is Justin Jefferson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Nico Collins, Josh Allen, Calvin Ridley, Dalton Kincaid, DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed, just mentioned him, Ladd McConkey, Mike Williams, Blake Corum, Curtis Samuel, Rashid Shaheed, Harrison Butker, Deshaun Watson, and Falcons defense.
Yeah. So went C- here. Just a lot of players that I got question marks about.
Biggest issue obviously is the running backs, in which this is Chance, my brother. So as we were on the ride home, he's like, yeah, probably shouldn't have Swift as my 2 or Corum as my 3. But he's got a ton of receivers that I think will be good. So there's that, and he absolutely will go for trades. So I mean, I don't mind the draft at all. I mean, I'm not huge on Jefferson this year, but it's still Justin Jefferson. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, I like a lot, even with him being banged up some. I honestly felt good about him as a first rounder at the beginning of the year, and now he's going like mid-second. Like I think he's fine. Josh Allen, he's the biggest Josh Allen fan in the world, so that was going to have. And I love having Allen and Kincaid together. Kincaid in the 6th round might be a little high, but I love that. And I think Calvin Ridley is going to be great. Like he's got a lot of potential at receiver.
Yeah, and so I like Jefferson. And honestly, Collins is early, but if you want a piece of the Houston pie, he's not a bad person to pick. I just don't know if he returns wide receiver 1 value there. But he's your wide receiver 2. You got Jefferson, but maybe you go running back again there. And pass on Collins and then go with some of those other wide receiver 2s that we liked.
The way that board fell, it would have been, maybe Rashad White.
Hold on. Didn't we see Jacobs go in the 4th?
Yeah. So Jacobs went in the 4th, but, back then maybe. But like I said, a week ago, it's a lot different of a situation.
Yeah. But
one thing interesting to me is like between Jefferson, Collins, Ridley, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed, McConkey, Mike Williams, Curtis Samuel, Rashid Shaheed. He legit has like 8 of them that could be like the number 1 target on their team.
Yeah.
At receiver.
Well, I'm out on McConkey because all I've heard is that he doesn't look as ready as they thought.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like he might.
Mike Williams, we know won't be his, but he can be productive.
Yeah,
with,
I like Mike Williams
Rodgers,
a lot.
But he's not going to be the one, we know for sure.
Yeah.
And we also know that the wide receiver 2 in Rodgers' offense, he does fine, but he focuses so much on his wide receiver 1, it takes a lot away from the 2. But he could be. He's his bench piece,
Yeah,
I
like Mike.
I like Jaden Reed. I think Jaden Reed's an excellent low end wide receiver 2. Solid flex play. Keenan Allen, I'm not too crazy. I feel like he's the odd man out. I used to not think that, but he's already banged up, and all I keep hearing about is how Roma Dunze seems to have this connection with Stroud, and they keep making these plays and these big. And I'm starting to think maybe Keenan Allen does somehow fallen, and I know it's hard to believe, but it's a new quarterback, it's a new system, it's all different than what the whole situation he's been in his whole career, and like if it were to happen, that's how it probably happens, is going to a new team, new quarterback, new system, and then him being a little banged up and missing some time like he's doing right now with a foot injury. And man, that worries me. Like we already said about Swift, not crazy about that. Gibbs, okay. So like Gibbs is great, and I like him as a player, but as a 1, I just I don't think he eclipses what he did last year, because he's not going to get any more work than he did last year. So
at the beginning of the season, he was pretty limited for the first like 5 or 6 weeks. They didn't really unleash him towards the back end. Because come playoff time, he was starting to run for 100 yards a game, and that was not happening at the beginning. I know it wasn't at like week 1 for sure because
Yeah, week 1 he had 27% snap share. Then he
yeah.
went to 48, then he went to 60, and then he went to 37, then he went to 87, 70, 58, 56, 71, 45, 63, 48, 58, 62, 51. So like if you look at him last year, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He only had 7 double-digit fantasy point games. Okay, and they're mixed for the most part after week 7. He missed 2 weeks at 5 and 6. A lot of single-digit fantasy point games. Even in the second half, he had 1, 2, 3, 4 single-digit fantasy point games in that stretch run where it's like, what happened? Like, and that's your RB1. And like, I just don't know if they give him the ball more this year. Like, I mean, he could be a little bit more stable, but you're expect he had 216 fantasy points last year, and people are expecting like 300. Like, because
I think it's going to be
like a first round pick is around 300
yeah.
points.
I think it's going to be more consistent carries and also just him being better as a player. Like
So where
he
does
was
he
a he was
find?
a he was a rookie last year. Like
Where does
he's
he
going to
find
get
another
better.
85 points
Just
in this offense?
running better, doing more of his
But
touches,
does
playing more
that mean
slot.
David Montgomery's just going to be obsolete?
No, but I mean, I think Gibbs can just get better with his touches. I mean, he was a rookie last year. He's not a finished product.
Yeah,
And
I know.
it ain't all about just touches. Like it's about what he does with the touches too.
I'm sorry, he had 242 points last year. Sorry, not that was half point PPR. I had it on the wrong. But anyway, at 242, not 219. My bad, guys. But still, 242. You still got to find at least another 60 points somewhere.
How many touchdowns
Maybe
did he have last year?
10 and 1 receiving.
I could see that being closer to 15 for sure. Especially because I mean, it seems like they're going to use him in the slot a decent amount. I just think Gibbs is I think he's too talented of a player, and
I know he is,
during
but
the
it's still a
playoffs,
situation.
yeah, during the playoffs he looked awesome though, and I think he's about to
I
become
get it.
unleashed.
I'm throwing all these points that I've heard made
Yeah,
from all these other people, and I'm just like, that's where it's got me. And I'm
yeah,
like, I hear all this, and I'm like, okay, I kind of get that because like
yeah,
you're not going to stop giving David Montgomery the rock on the goal line, and it's like it's kind of like that Alvin Kamara cap he had with Mark Ingram there. You remember that? Like
yeah,
until Mark Ingram was gone, we never seen Kamara fully just bust out of there, or
yeah,
until Mark Ingram got hurt, and then we did because Ingram got hurt, and then it was the Kamara show. Like
yeah,
it was like, oh my, And I think if we didn't have Montgomery, I'm fully there. But like, I still feel like we're not there yet, and I think a first round pick is just too much for me, or
yeah,
even early second. But that's where I'm at. Like I know he's got the potential. I love the player. It's not anything about. It's just a situation in the offense. But
yeah,
anyway, so we can move on. But yeah, so a lot of question marks. He's got the running back thing. But like we said, you can make a trade. And Swift might work out. Like he might get enough catches to be
yeah,
productive. And then I love the Kincaid. I love Josh Allen. A little early for Josh Allen, but if he's your guy, this is fantasy. It's about having fun. Draft your guy, man. Like if you got 1 or 2 guys you love, reach and get them.
yeah.
Especially if they're studs. Like, dude, Josh Allen can win his league for him if he does what Josh Allen thinks.
Especially
So
in our league where we got the bonuses for
yeah.
300 yards and 100 yards rushing.
Oh,
Like Allen's liable to get both of those on a week.
oh.
Like it's
Now
crazy.
I did not like Deshaun Watson as this backup at the end of
Yeah,
like I was
yeah,
like, if you're I'd have rather just not drafted another quarterback then because he's not getting drafted.
yeah,
And then I love the Falcons defense, by the way. Last pick, I think they're a top 10 defense this year,
yeah.
personally. If not, maybe even better because they got some studs and they're improved upon their situation last year, and they were pretty solid last year.
Yeah.
So anyway, pick 9.
We got Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Mike Evans, Travis Kelce, DK Metcalf, Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Brooks, Evan Ingram, Jalen Warren, Tajay Spears, Marquise Brown, Jordan Love, Brandon Audrey, or Aubrey. 49ers defense, Kendre Miller, Marshawn Lloyd, Demario Douglas.
All right, so I gave this one a C. And honestly, I got excited at the beginning of the draft. And then now the more I hear it and look at it, especially after some things have unfolded recently, I start thinking this might should have been a D.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
It really, after Anthony Richardson goes way downhill, I love Evan Ingram, but there is a lot of guys on here that have big question marks in their roles.
And that's Evan Ingram is tight end 2 for him.
Yeah,
He already has Kelsey.
Right, so he's playing both them cats with this team. There ain't no doubt.
He's going to have to, yeah,
Like,
because Jonathan Brooks ain't playing.
Well, Marquise Brown ain't playing either. And
Yeah.
that's my thing. Dude, my mind is blown why people are drafting Jonathan Brooks here.
Yeah.
All right. The fact that you're drafting
I'll tell you the main reason why. It's because on ESPN, whenever you're drafting in that room, he's still up there.
Dude, I know. That's when you just got to be like, nope.
Well,
nope,
it's just
nope,
people
nope.
just don't know. That's what it is.
But anyway, so how do you draft Jonathan Brooks ahead of Nick Chubb?
Yeah.
All right. They could miss the same amount of time. Not saying Chubb doesn't come back later, but theoretically, Chubb could come back in week 5 like Jonathan Brooks can. And you're telling me
this was auto draft.
Oh, okay.
After the second round, it was auto draft. I forgot about that.
All right.
I just realized,
whoever this is.
It was Ty.
Well, anyway, I gave you a C. You probably should have had a D, man. I'm sorry. But anyway, all right. So love Jonathan Taylor, love Saquon. I think you probably should have went a wide receiver there. But if you went Taylor and Barkley, I don't fault you at all because I love both of them this year. Mike Evans, older. Not my favorite pick, but you can't argue with his constant production and a good offense with a decent quarterback. I mean, it's fine if you're going to take a stab at an older wide receiver. I don't think he's terrible. Travis Kelce, he's been doing it forever. Not my favorite pick because I feel like it's coming. The bottom's going to fall out eventually, but he's still healthy. He's still the man. Once again, you got him in 4th round. It's not a terrible value because he's producing around that. DK, like DK a lot. I think DK could end up being your wide receiver 1 over Mike Evans because they're talking about passing the ball more in this offense now that they finally got rid of Pete Carroll. So I like DK a lot. He's somebody that I haven't really drafted much of because he's going a little bit before I start picking. Like, I'm normally picking a running back there. Normally it's either Rashad White if he falls to me, maybe Kamara if he falls to me there. It just depends. Maybe I go Trey McBride there.
You said DK, where he got DK at?
Yeah, 5th round.
Zamir White went after, and then James Conner.
He's somebody else. I probably pick Zamir White there.
But that'd be a third running back instead of
But he's got Taylor
receiver.
and Barkley. That's right. He's got Taylor and Barkley, but I also don't go running back. So
yeah.
But anyway, so I see why he did that, and I like DK. That's all I'm saying. Love Anthony Richardson. Don't really love the price tag. But
another
if he
thing,
believes in him.
Honestly, looking at where he got Barkley at 2, the next receiver was Nakua and then Pittman.
Yeah, I would have went Nakua, but maybe
getting Saquon at 12 is not terrible. I don't even like Saquon.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I like both of them there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I would have probably went wide receiver with one of them to balance it a little bit because I know what's coming later. But he auto drafted, so he didn't have a choice anyway.
Evans and Metcalf. It isn't sexy, but it'll probably get the job done.
Yeah. So anyway, and then you go Jonathan Brooks in the 7th.
Yeah.
Howies.
That's fantasy.
That might be a killer for this year for him because that really killed your depth and really a starter that was going to miss 4 games. And then who knows how long it'll take him to get acclimated. And then you got Chuba Hubbard, who's still pretty productive in this offense, contending, and then he goes Evan Ingram, Jalen Warren, who's hurt, that should be back, but hang on, sorry. Anyway, you got Jalen Warren, who should be back, but still kind of a question mark. And then, all right, man, maybe it's just me, but Arthur Smith, he just bugs me. Like, after what he did in Atlanta, I'm having so many problems trusting anybody in Pittsburgh now, man. Is it just me? Like,
I mean, the only person in Pittsburgh I want is George Pickens at a
I
decent
don't even
value.
know if I want George Pickens
Yeah,
because what did we see what he did with Drake London? Made him a flex value almost, you know?
yeah. I feel like one, Drake London had Desmond Ritter. I feel better about Russ Wilson.
And you're right.
Uh,
And you're right. But
but it depends on where I can get Pickens.
yeah.
If I can get Pickens
Yeah.
in the sixth as like my
Yeah.
wide receiver 3 or 4, then I'm fine with it.
So anyway,
But that's really the only person I care
he
about.
went Warren, and honestly, I'd have felt better if he'd have went Pollard Spears, which he could have done because I think Pollard went 10th round, didn't he?
No, Pollard went a couple picks before him.
Oh,
So he
that's
could have
tough.
went Nick Chubb.
Oh, I don't want Chubb, but
Chubb
he needed
and
somebody
yeah.
to play. Probably. Well, no, he didn't really have to have somebody to play, but he probably wanted somebody to play. But he didn't pick anyway. So
Yeah, it was just
doesn't
it was
matter.
the style of the draft.
But anyway, so don't really like Warren. Don't really like Spears here because I think both of them are playing the same role on their team with limited upside. They're gonna catch passes. They're gonna be involved. They're gonna have good weeks, but for the most part, I think you're gonna have weeks of 20 points and you're gonna have weeks of 5 to 7 points. I think that's what you're gonna get with both of them. Then you got Marquise Brown, who's hurt, which is a great pick if he was playing to start, but he's not on the pup. So, but
Yeah,
he's
he'll be
already
back.
been
He'll
ruled
be
out
back
for week
probably.
one.
He'll probably be
But
back week
I
2
do
or 3.
think he
Yeah.
could end up paying off and helping him out.
Kind of crazy and scary that that's his wide
but
receiver 3.
I felt like that was way early. That's right.
That's his wide receiver 3.
And then Jordan Love at quarterback backing up Anthony Richardson. Do like that because you're hedging that bet. But then once again, like, man, you got Jordan Love way down there. If you'd have picked somebody else at 6, like your team could look a lot more complete.
Yeah, he could have got T. Higgins.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got Brandon Aubrey. All right, love the kicker, but not in the 13th round, coach.
Yeah.
And that's auto draft for you right there. And then the 49ers defense in the 14th round. Yeah, I mean, the more I look at it, this should have been D. Then you got Kendre Miller on the pup. So you got 2 players on your team on the pup already. Do y'all have injured list?
Yeah, we got one IR.
No, well, he's gonna have to figure out which one he wants to put on there. And then because Kendre Miller probably ain't going to be relevant this year again.
No,
because you still got Jamal Williams
he's not
and
touched.
Kamara, and so like
and Dennis Allen hates
drafted.
Him.
Anyway, yeah, that's right. I'm actually kind of really shocked. I think management made him keep him because I bet Dennis Allen would have cut him.
Yeah,
I really do. But anyway, and then you got Marshawn Lloyd, who did he get on the pup?
I don't think so.
Okay. I know Dylan went on season-ending IR, but I didn't know if
I don't mind Lloyd at the 16th anymore.
I guess. But anyway,
if Jacobs goes down, then I mean he's going to be in a very good situation.
So I don't mind Lloyd there, but if you have what you have before this, I feel like you probably had to go somewhere else. But I guess at this pick in y'all's draft, you really didn't have anybody. Yeah. Now that we're talking about, and then DeMario Douglas, I like Pop Douglas.
Yeah.
I don't mind that there. I think he could be a flex value. You could start him. Honestly, I think he's probably fill in for 5 for 50 just about every week.
Yeah.
Honestly. Now, does he ever eclipse 6 for 80? Probably not, But it's like he's going to get a little bit there. He might catch a touchdown here and there. But I like Pop Douglas there. But, yeah, C probably should have been C- or a D. I don't know. I think I might have been rushing at work whenever I was finishing that one up. I don't know.
Let's move on to Tim.
Sorry, Ty. My bad, man. But auto draft.
It was Ty's fault.
Yeah.
So
all right. So pick 10.
Yeah, we got Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, Rashad White, Sam Laporta, Zamir White, James Conner, Rasheed Rice, Chris Godwin, Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, Trey Benson, Jamison Williams, Brock Purdy, Tyler Lockett, Steelers D, Jake Elliott, Xavier Legette.
Yep. So I went B+, and the only reason I went B+ instead of an A is because Brock Purdy's your only quarterback. I'm sorry, man. Like, I can't put all my eggs in on that basket. I just can't. I can't do it, man. I do like Brock Purdy, but I think you should have went Caleb Williams right after, or anybody else with some upside other than because what if he comes out, gets hurt? We've seen him have some arm issues before, and then you're scraping the bottom of the barrel with a stud team. Dude, I love just about everybody else. There's a couple people I don't like. Tyler Lockett, didn't care for him. Xavier Legette, I feel like you probably should went Jalen Polk. And then I like Jameson Williams. Not the biggest Trey Benson fan, but you got James Conner. Honestly, I really like this team a lot.
I'm iffy of Rashad White and Zamir White. Like I think Zamir is going to get the touches. I don't really know if he's RB2 worthy, but Rashad White, I'm hearing there's been some iffy reports of is he going to really fully be the guy again? There's been some Bucky Irving news, stuff like that. I'm not really going after White this year, either of them. But then James Conner, like, what's he going to be? Nick Chubb's great. So,
well, my RB. So that was my first thought was like, what is he doing with RB2? All right. So what he's doing is he's got Jerome Ford at RB2 because we've seen Jerome Ford be an RB2 last year all year. Okay. And then when Jerome Ford's out and Nick Chubb comes back, then Nick Chubb is your one, if not your two or whatever he is.
Yeah.
And then you still got Rashad White. You got the upside of Zamir White if he's a workhorse like it's looking like, even in a bad offense. Like you got Zamir White. James Conner has been productive, but say James Conner gets hurt, or what if they phase him out? You got Trey Benson right down there. I mean, yeah, I don't love the Arizona backfield as much as I do others, but you got Cleveland's wrapped up. And see, this is the way I like having two running backs on the same team. You got one that's going to be a stud now while you're waiting on the other one to come back. And and then you got Rice. Now the only one I probably would have skipped Connor. I would have probably went T. Higgins or one of the wide receivers that I like there, Terry McLaurin, whoever. And then you went Rashee Rice, but I like Rashee Rice and Godwin. I do like Rashad White this year. Now, do I think he's going to be like, top end RB1? No, but do I think he has a decent chance to be RB9 or 10? Yeah, I really do. I think because as much as Baker threw him the ball, and that's something else. Like they were pretty successful last year with him as their one. Like their defense was just garbage.
Yeah.
So I mean, if anything, their offense was pretty good last year. And I mean, they went and drafted Jalen McMillan. They got Bucky Irving to help out. And that was the thing. Like Rashad White wasn't even on the field, but let me pull up his percentages. Because I remember seeing they had like a slew of backup running backs that played. And it's like, if he gets a boost, I felt like he was only like 60%, and he still finished like pretty strong. Let me find him. I can just kind of confirm what I'm thinking here. Where's he?
And looking at what went after him, Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker, I prefer both of them over White.
This year. I would. Now, if I'd have seen Josh Jacobs there, I would have definitely picked him.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker, to me, I feel like they're in the same boat personally. So he finished last year at RB6 in PPR.
Yeah.
Okay. And he had 70 targets for 64 catches, and he played about 80% of the snaps. So he played a little bit more. I was thinking more like 70. There were several games where it was around 70, but for the most part, he was 70. You could say an average of 75% last year because he did drop down a couple times. But for the most part, and I don't think that changes. I think Bucky Irving just gets that other bit. And
maybe
I think, and if you get RB6 again in the third round, and his strength of schedule right now is the second best in the league.
Yeah. I think a lot of number 6 for him was just pure volume more so than being actually good. And I think Godwin takes an uptick, which he's on the same team as him on this one. He's got White and Godwin. I don't think that's going to matter too much. But I think Godwin, second year with Baker, takes a decent more of the catches, and then maybe Jalen McMillan gets more touches.
No, I don't know if he gets a lot, but anyway, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Rashad probably loses some of them catches, and I don't really know what Bucky Irving might be, but it seems like they're pretty high on him.
I think he gets that 20 5% of the set after the 75. Like they're going to give him that, but I just don't see him phasing out Rashad after he did what he did, and he's 25. Now, if he gets hurt and then Bucky Irving comes in there and just studs all over the place, yeah, that might happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to take something, because I think they're going to be a little bit more loyal to what Rashad White did and can do. I don't think you're going to see a rookie just come in and do that. Like Bucky Irving wasn't that kind of rookie touted, coming out. He was good, but now if you have an injury and Bucky Irving comes in and studs it, yeah, you might have that problem. But I don't think he's going to get that chance right out the gate. But anyway, and then I like Jameson Williams upside big time. I haven't drafted him much. There's been running backs in this area that I've been drafting like crazy. So I have not got very much of Jameson Williams, but I do know that you're not the number one wide receiver in a draft for no reason. And you don't just, ruin that. So this could be his coming out party. Who knows? I'm trying to find him right here. Golly, he's way down here. Okay.
Who is it?
Jameson Williams. So right on this one, it says he's around 133 ADP, which they reached down and got him. So they must really like Jameson Williams. But there's nothing wrong with thinking he's going to be, he's going to be that. But last year, all right, so what does worry me? So last year, people don't realize how much he did play in the second half, and he did not produce hardly at all. And that's what, it scares me, but I like
Tim Patrick coming in and being better, honestly.
He might, because he played upwards of 60 to 65% for after week 10, well, really week 11. And he never eclipsed 12 points. And that was in the first one where he had that big catch for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then it was 7, 10.4, 8, 9, 9.
Yeah. He could have got, instead of Williams, he could have got Xavier Worthy, Jerry Jeudy, Darnell Mooney, Khalil Shakir.
Darnell Mooney, though, Khalil Shakir. Oh, Khalil Shakir, man. Better floor for sure. But anyway, so yeah, but I like his team still. And then, a lot of these teams with the bench things, that we're talking about here that we don't like, people. Dude, you can win your league on the waiver wire, guys. Literally. If you don't think that's the case, talk to the people that got Puka last year on the waiver wire. Talk to those cats that
or Kyron,
that's right. And which I got a buddy, I got to give him a shout. Old Chris, Pastor Easy, told me to draft Puka last year. I told the dude he was crazy. I was like, I don't even know who the freak that is. And he was like, man, he's this guy for the Rams. Blah, blah, blah. He said, I'm telling you, man, he drafted him. And then Puka didn't do nothing week 1. And somebody went off week 1. And I said, dude, you need to drop Puka and pick this guy up. And I was like, I still tell him, I was like, man, I'm such an idiot. So he did. He picked him up. And he had him in 2 leagues. He drafted him as last pick in both leagues. And he dropped him in both of them, picked up somebody else. And then Puka did really good the next week. And he put in claims for him. He got him in 1 league, didn't get him in the other one. And he won the league, he got him back in. So, yeah, Puka, man, you find that player every year. There's 1 or 2 somewhere at the beginning, the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. There's those 1 or 2 guys that can win your league. And it don't matter how your draft went, really. I mean, so, yeah, guys, just pay attention to the waiver wire. And you can correct a lot of mistakes made on draft day. And like I said, this is us talking after the draft's done, 2020 eyesight on this. And, none of us, have perfect drafts hardly ever. And I really don't know if I've ever had a perfect draft where I just loved the whole team.
Yeah.
And I mean, but also I look at so many players and I find so many that I like all around. There's a whole bunch of guys I like, but that doesn't mean I'm right about them either. So then in hindsight, after you're wrong about players, it really wasn't that great of a draft anyway, So I don't know. But anyway, it was a lot of fun talking about these drafts. I'm really curious to see how it plays out at the end of the year. If with Ty's luck, he'll probably win. But who knows? It was a lot of fun, man. I don't know if you got anything else to add or talk about, but I'm sure this has probably went long enough.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I like doing this, and maybe we'll get another one of them out or something like that. Another reaction before the season starts. Something. I'll try to get a graphic out with this, and maybe I don't really know how I'm gonna do it yet. I got ideas in my mind, but we'll figure it out.
Well, I can tell you, I've got a draft coming up, and I've thought about getting with you and doing that draft live.
Yeah.
Like as I'm drafting, and we'll just do a show while I'm drafting, talking about it. I don't know if it's going to work out. I don't even know. I've got 2 drafts that I got to get in before Tuesday. I got to get them in before Wednesday. So Tuesday's the last day, and I got 2 drafts, and I don't even know where either one of them are going yet. So riddle me that.
There you go. Well, yeah, I mean, we can try to make that work.
But I'll holler at you when I find them and get them nailed down, and I'll let you know. I think one is going to be Sunday starting toward the second half of the LSU game. Hopefully it's not a nail biter, but who knows? I mean, I can concentrate on both, but some people can't. And then the other one's probably going to be Monday night around 8-ish, the way it's looking right now. So Sunday and Monday, maybe we can get one of them in there. I don't have to work Monday, thank goodness. And if I do the one Tuesday, I don't have to be at work too early Tuesday. I mean, Monday night, I don't have to work too early Tuesday. So maybe we can get that in. So y'all be looking for that. Maybe we get another draft and talk a little bit about picks and stuff. But it'll be a lot of fun, guys. I appreciate everybody listening. Please like, subscribe, go download our podcast. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you do like. Let us know what you don't like. We just appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate our sponsors. Go support them. Big Reed BBQ, Mimi's Children's Boutique, Doug DeMono Farm and Feed, Crown Detailing, Championship Carts. Thank you guys. Y'all go support them. And y'all keep listening. We're going to come out with some more pods coming up. And y'all keep chasing that trophy.
This ain't how it's supposed to be. It should be just you and me.